Welcome to Spiritual Frequencies Online Academy on Patreon. This is Dr. G. This is part 6 in a series called Why Become Conscious? And the focal point for this presentation, short presentation, is intuition. Now, in our particular culture, in our educational system, there's a high value put on thinking. So a lot of us think in words, images, memories, and plans for the future. This has tremendous value and benefit when a person can develop their thinking skill and reach a point of critical thinking, able to look at a situation, look at an idea, look at a person, look at an event, and analyze that event and think critically about the pros, the cons, the benefits, the downfalls of any particular person, place, or thing or event. That's a wonderful skill. What does happen, the focus of this presentation is intuition. So what does happen when we overthink? That becomes an issue. We value thinking in many ways more than intuition, and they're both wonderful skills to have. So what I have to say is, when I've mentioned before that when you're conscious, you're in a state of wordless awareness. Does that mean you have no thoughts, no words, no images, no memories? Of course, you still have those, but you don't necessarily have to identify with them as much as you think you have to. So the key is for a state of wordless awareness, which approaches being conscious in the moment, in the now, as they often say, you don't identify, or you give less value, or you notice them as they enter through your thought process, but you decide not to give it so much value. You're non-identify. And it'll give less power and value to automatic thinking. When that happens and you approach a state of consciousness, more consciousness than you might have been used to in the past, then intuition can begin to kick in, to be activated. So what is intuition? When you're thinking, you're trying to figure things out. Oftentimes, this has happened to me and probably lots of people, you'll try to figure out the problem. You try to figure it out. You try to think it through. Often there's something that's pressing, and you may end up thinking obsessively even. And a lot of people can't even go to sleep at night because they're thinking about problems, thinking about issues, trying to figure out the solution. By doing enough thinking, somehow they'll figure it out and they'll know the answer. Sometimes that works, but I would say if you learn to become conscious and you value it, and you journey into and experience a state of wordless awareness more and more, intuition activates. Intuition is knowing without thinking. You simply just know. There are many situations on a day-to-day basis when a person is just much more aware and much more conscious, where they have intuitive knowings about a situation, a person, a place, a thing, and they don't really have to figure it out. Let me give you a couple examples. Let's say you go to a restaurant and you want to have a meal and you look at the menu. I don't know if you've had this experience. I have. Some of the menus are so complex and even have multiple pages. You can be overwhelmed if you start thinking about all the possibilities. Here's an opportunity, if you have intuitive awareness, to be drawn to something that sounds good to you, that feels good to you, that you sense that you might enjoy. And when you do this on a regular basis, you actually activate your intuitive ability more and more on something as basic and as simple as going to a restaurant and choosing something that you would enjoy to eat. And you really save time, you save energy, you're giving value to being aware in the moment. And you're not necessarily sitting there and reading the entire menu, being torn apart by, I like this, I might like that, and overthinking the whole thing. This is a very simple example. When intuition is active on a day-to-day basis throughout your day, you begin to sense like a lot of different things. Here's another example. You may sense, well, I'm going to be driving to this location. Perhaps you have a different feeling that day about which way to go. Instead of going the way that you're supposed to go, or people say you should go, or the GPS system says you should go, perhaps you're feeling like, well, I'll go this way. And you'll find out quite often, maybe there was construction in your traditional route. And this time you didn't have to deal with the construction because you followed your intuition. And so, there's an endless array of possibilities. What I would suggest to you is take time on a regular basis to become more conscious, a state of wordless awareness, as I mentioned. And then you'll find really a byproduct of that is your intuitive awareness will actually start to activate more and more and more. There's a lot of freedom in that. You don't have to overthink, overfigure out. Go do extensive research to find out an answer to a particular situation or difficulty or problem. You just sort of have a sense of what to do about it. And you can adjust again by being intuitive a second time and a third time. So there's a lot of benefits from becoming conscious. Intuition is very valuable. And I think in this world of information overload, going into the intuitive side of your consciousness actually is a wonderful guide and a sense of relief and a sense of freedom.